She never saw the backlash coming. Sunny Hostin, never one to tiptoe around controversy, once again took the wheel of a seemingly harmless discussion and swerved straight into the storm. The topic? Caitlin Clark's meteoric rise. The twist? A sharp injection of racial commentary. With her trademark casual boldness, Sunny floated a familiar theory, that Clark's soaring popularity might be riding the coattails of white privilege, a term she's invoked many times before. But this time, the air shifted. Even LeBron James, a towering voice in social justice circles, didn't echo her sentiments. Instead, he broke ranks. Publicly. Decisively. He praised Clark, not just as a star, but as a transformative force in women's basketball. And then came the dagger. He called out the reductive narrative that threatened to eclipse her very real achievements. What began as just another hot take had suddenly ignited a firestorm. And Sunny? She stood in the center of it all, perhaps for once, unprepared.
You know, I've been a basketball fan since I can remember. I played basketball with my dad in Harlem when I was 5 years old. So I remember loving the game, and the game not necessarily loving women back, right? At all. And the WNBA started in 1996. First games played in 1997. And we're just really now talking about it. And so if Caitlin Clark is the vehicle that will bring this sport that I have loved so much and so long to little 5-year-old girls playing in Harlem, I say yes, bravo. I have no problem with that.
At first, it felt routine, just another impassioned monologue wrapped in a familiar rhythm. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. But then came the pivot. With sweeping certainty, she declared that the game doesn't love women back. A powerful line, yes, but one that ignored a mountain of inconvenient facts. Let's rewind. Since its inception, the WNBA has been carried, financially and structurally, by the NBA. Year after year, the league has operated at a loss, despite unwavering support. These aren't opinions. They're cold, hard facts. And yet, in the heat of on-air theatrics, reality was sidelined in favor of a more palatable, dramatic narrative. She spoke as if the world had only now stumbled upon women's basketball, as if this was some overdue awakening. But The View has been on air for decades, longer than some of its viewers have been alive. If the cause was truly so close to the heart, why wasn't there a weekly spotlight? Where was the platform, the consistent advocacy, the visibility? But just when it seemed the conversation might return to neutral ground, something balanced, maybe even fair, she took a sharp turn. Right back to Caitlin Clark. And, predictably, to her race. Once again, the discussion wasn't about talent. Or records. Or the cultural moment Clark is undeniably shaping. No, it was steered back to identity, back to division. And the real shame? The truth got lost in the noise.
With that being said, I do think that there is a thing called pretty privilege. There is a thing called white privilege. There is a thing called tall privilege. And we have to acknowledge that. And so part of it is about race, because if you think about the Brittany Griners of the world, you know, why did she have to go to play in Russia?
They wouldn't pay her.
Because they wouldn't pay her.
Because they wouldn't pay her. Not because she was black, but because they didn't believe in the WNBA.
This is part of my point. So now, you know, Caitlin Clark is bringing this money, these sponsorships, we hope, into the league, and other players will benefit from it. But I do think that she is more relatable to more people because she's white, because she's attractive. And unfortunately, there still is that stigma against the LGBTQ plus community. 70% of the WNBA is black. A third of the players are in the LGBTQ plus community.
Let's call it what it really is, the view privilege. That strange, exhausting phenomenon where volume is mistaken for truth, and shouting over someone somehow qualifies as winning an argument. But peel back the layers of sarcasm and spectacle, and a deeper, more unsettling question emerges. Why does Sunny Hostin feel the need to funnel every major sports moment through the narrow lens of race or appearance? Her recent claim, that Caitlin Clark's rise is simply a symptom of white privilege, didn't just miss the point. It demolished it. It didn't challenge the system. It disrespected the very athletes she claims to champion. To reduce Clark's staggering success to skin color alone is to erase the grit, the grind, the years of unrelenting discipline, pressure, and pure excellence she's poured into her craft. That's not a progressive take. That's corrosive commentary. Now imagine, for just a moment, if the roles were reversed. What if Skip Bayless or Colin Cowherd tried to explain LeBron James' legendary career by chalking it up to the color of his skin? The backlash would be immediate, furious, and entirely justified. Because here's the hard truth. Identity politics has its place. But in sports, it hits a wall. Performance doesn't lie. Stats don't care about your background, they care how you play. And Caitlin Clark? She isn't some media experiment or product of public relations. She's a generational force, a once-in-a-lifetime talent whose numbers don't whisper, they roar. Even LeBron James, no stranger to the intersection of sports and social justice, went on JJ Redick's podcast and said it himself. Clark is the real deal. No gimmicks. No shortcuts. Just pure, undeniable game.
I'm rooting for Caitlin because I've been in that seat before. I've walked that road before. I hope she kills. I hope Aaliyah Boston does amazing. I hope they do great. I'm just kind of in this mode right now because I'm getting the same, thing from watching my son, who's a 19-year-old, kind of getting a lot of animosity and hatred towards him when he's just a kid trying to live out his dream. There's a very small number of men and women that actually get to live out their dream of playing a professional sport. And we have grown men and women out here doing whatever they can to try to make sure that does not happen. That is the weirdest thing in the world, but it is what it is. And I'm glad that Caitlin has a great head on her shoulders.
Put the politics aside for just a moment, and you'll see something undeniable. LeBron James is a masterclass in resilience. Like Caitlin Clark, he's lived every moment of his career beneath a relentless microscope. From the decision to leave Cleveland to his bold stances on social justice, every move he's made has been dissected, judged, and, far too often, weaponized. They've called him too soft, too political, too calculated. And yet, through every storm, LeBron kept his eyes locked on the game. And the result? A legacy so rich, so unshakably historic, that his name lives forever in the GOAT conversation. Now, look at Caitlin Clark. She's walking a parallel path, only this time, the noise is even louder, the spotlight even harsher. She's navigating a firestorm of opinions from critics who couldn't carry her gym bag, let alone guard her on the court. The truth is, success at the highest level never comes quietly. It comes with fire. It comes with pressure. And the higher you rise, the more desperate people become to pull you down, with narratives that have nothing to do with your performance. That's exactly what's happening here. Instead of celebrating her historic, game-changing impact, some would rather twist the moment, diminishing it with cries of privilege, of unfair advantage, of anything but the truth. This is hard-earned greatness. But here's the twist, the part they can't debate. Sonny's take? It crumbles under the weight of facts. And just to drive the point home, let's bring in an unlikely voice, Whoopi Goldberg. Yes, that Whoopi. Even she pulled the receipts, Clark's stats. Her records. Her dominance. Because when the numbers speak, the noise fades. Fast.
I want to point something out. She is the NCAA's all-time leading scorer of men and women. In February, she broke the women's record. In March, she broke Pistol Pete Maravich's 3,667 point record. She's had more 30-point games than anyone in the past 25 years.
Yeah.
Okay? She holds a single season 3-point record for women. She's the Big Ten's all-time leader in assists.
And that's just scratching the surface of Caitlin Clark's collegiate dominance. Now in the WNBA, she's not just living up to the hype, she's annihilating it. In her rookie season, Clark has already rewritten the Indiana Fever record books. Most double-doubles. Most three-pointers. Most games with 10-plus assists. And she's just getting started. She became the fastest player in WNBA history to hit 100 threes, and the quickest to notch 350 points and 150 assists. That's not media buzz. That's history being made, in real time. Her efforts didn't go unnoticed. Clark earned a spot on the All-WNBA first team and clinched the Rookie of the Year award, solidifying her status as a force of nature the moment she stepped onto the professional court. But her impact? It doesn't stop at the scoreboard. According to Fox Sports executive Michael Mulvihill, Clark's games have averaged 1.2 million viewers on TV, nearly triple the WNBA's usual 400,000. And the effect is just as seismic in the stands. AP reporter Tim Reynolds revealed that games featuring Caitlin Clark are pulling in crowds of 16,000, while others hover around 8,500. That's not a bump. That's not a trend. That's a tidal wave. Even LeBron James sees it. He didn't just defend her talent, he recognized the shift she's ushering in. On JJ Redick's podcast, he went a step further, offering a bold prediction about the future of women's basketball. And make no mistake, it starts with players like Caitlin Clark, not just playing the game, but redefining it.
The one thing that I love that she's bringing to her sport, more people want to watch. More people want to tune in. I saw for the first time that they had a chartered plane for the first time in their league history. You know, they flew private. That should be celebrated, and it's because of Caitlin Clark. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it up. Caitlin Clark is the reason why a lot of great things is going to happen for the WNBA. But for her individually, I don't think she should get involved on nothing that's being said. Just go have fun, enjoy.
You're absolutely right, because athletes like Caitlin Clark don't just play the game. They elevate it. Every once in a generation, a player emerges who doesn't just fill stat sheets, they shift culture. They pull in new fans. They make people care in ways they never did before. Michael Jordan didn't just win 6 rings, he turned the NBA into a global phenomenon. Serena Williams didn't just dominate tennis, she redefined what power, grace, and unapologetic excellence look like on and off the court. Ronda Rousey didn't just win fights, she forced the world to take women's MMA seriously. And Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi? Their legacies are still in motion, reshaping soccer's global footprint, from Europe to the US to the Middle East, proving how icons can bring legitimacy, attention, and investment to entire regions. And now, Caitlin Clark is blazing her own trail, already showing signs that she's on a similar, culture-shifting trajectory. Her impact isn't theoretical. It's measurable. In TV ratings. In sellout arenas. In the roar of the crowd every time she touches the ball. She's not just playing basketball. She's rewriting the conversation around it. And maybe, just maybe, sports would be a far better, more inspiring space if we focused less on reducing greatness to identity politics, and more on the brilliance unfolding right in front of us. Because Caitlin Clark's story isn't one of privilege. It's one of vision, discipline, and generational skill. It's the kind of story that reminds us why we fell in love with sports in the first place.